I definitely felt like I was in survival mode. It doesn't automatically mean that everything, you know, poof, it's all gone, everything's fixed, you're back to normal. Hell no. Just to see what my body can do, and I felt like that was a mistake. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing really well. I cannot believe that we are here already, but in today's video I am going to be talking about my final trimester, and probably one of the most hardest ones as well. The 4th trimester recap. I have probably sat down to try and film this video on multiple occasions because I feel like there is just too much information, there is too much experiences, and there is just a lot to digest. The reason why I wanted to do the 4th trimester video is because through everything to do with raising a baby, breastfeeding, pregnancy, everything to do with having a baby, I really wish that the 4th trimester postpartum was the thing that I educated myself on the most. Although this is my personal experience, I still feel to a certain extent that everyone goes through these, you know, experiences. So grab yourself a cuppa and let's go through the 4th trimester recap. But just to give you a brief overview, I had a forceps delivery. The forceps, I feel like, kind of went wrong. It did result in severe hemorrhaging. I did lose a lot of blood. I came away with infections and I ended up with 3rd degree tears. I ended up with a manual cut. I also ended up with 3rd degree tears, which is classed as a 3B, internally and externally in my butt. And it's not the nicest of situations tear-wise, but also my cervix tore as well. So definitely not the nicest experiences that I've ever been through. The first month was generally trying to recover, trying to figure out mum life, and going through all the emotions that postpartum brung. Physically, overall, I felt really weak. The weakest I have ever felt in my whole entire life. I have never felt this weak and broken before. Of course, it's to be expected. Your body goes through a heck of a lot of distress when you give birth. So it's definitely expected for you to feel a bit weak, a bit shit. But what I didn't expect was for me to not walk properly. I was not actually able to walk until I think day 2, day 3. Even then, I needed a hell of a lot of support in order to, you know, hold me up, help me move my legs. I wasn't able to hold Amelia, my little girl, properly. I wasn't able to obviously just get out of bed and pick her up to feed her. You know, I was very much needing the help of all of the midwives and my partner. And then following the couple weeks after birth up until the 1st month, my body was still going through a lot, and when my body goes through a lot of stress, I break out a heck of a lot, and I also suffer with cold sores as well. Physically, the 1st month was a lot to deal with, especially as you're also trying to get through, you know, breastfeeding for the first couple of weeks and figuring out how to be a mum and how to look after a baby, and it's a lot. It was a time I felt like I wasn't really living, I wasn't really present in any moments. I was just getting by. But during the 1st month, day 17 was the worst day for me amongst many, but it was the worst first proper day for me. I was an emotional wreck and I felt very overwhelmed. I am a person that does get slightly overwhelmed. I say slightly, lightly. I do get very overwhelmed. So the first couple weeks, of course, everyone wants to come and see baby. You're trying to heal yourself. You know, you're very immobile, you can't really move off the sofa, you can't really do much. It was the most amount of things I've had to deal with at the same time. And of course, as you know, it was Christmas. So yeah, the first month was definitely very full on. Although you go through stages of not being able to cope or being in the worst pain you can ever be in, you know, it is paired with some of the greatest days that you will ever have as well. You know, it's not all negative, there are definitely positives. Okay, so most importantly, how did downstairs feel? Because as you know, I had a lot of tearing. Well, honestly, the whole entire month was a little bit numb. Couldn't really feel a thing, which was a blessing in disguise, I think. I definitely felt achiness. Although it was numb, it was definitely achy, and to some point it could be very uncomfortable and a little bit painful. I couldn't stay in the same spot for a long period of time. And then the last thing of month 1 that I wanted to mention was the fact that I developed a breastfeeding aversion. I have never heard of this in my whole entire life until I spoke to other mums and I spoke to, you know, the health visitors. There was a period, I think it was about 2 weeks, every time I breastfed, I would feel sick to my stomach. I don't know if that's due to the oxytocin that gets released when you breastfeed. I would feel like my skin was crawling and itching. And I also could not stand my hair on the back of my neck. And then also my breasts, I could not touch them. Every time I showered or every time I got dressed, it would just make me cringe. And it made me dread every time that I had to feed. But thankfully for me, it only lasted a couple weeks. In regards to myself physically, I was still a little bit immobile. My legs still felt really, really weak. However, I was able to walk a full 20 minutes. 30 minutes at a push without it hurting. At the end of the walk, when I would sit down, my scar would ache. I didn't know scars could ache and bring so much discomfort, but I knew that 30 minutes was definitely my limit, not to do any more than that. How was I mentally? Well, we went through Amelia's first leap. In regards to leaps, I do use the Wonder Leap app, I believe it's called. And although within the first couple days after birth you do go through sort of like a cluster feeding stage, you know, your baby is helping your milk to come in, this was the first, I don't want to say proper cluster feeding, but it was the first cluster feeding post getting your milk in. And I felt like it was at an all-time high. I wasn't just crying, I was howling, I was distressed, I felt like I just couldn't cope. And because of this, I did get multiple breakouts and ulcers this time. I feel like if I'm looking back over the past 3 months, that point was the worst time mentally for me. The last month, the end is here. Although I felt like over the past 3 months was complete survival mode, most of the time you are a zombie. You're just trying, it's as if you're going through life with your eyes closed, you know, you're going through the fog. Although that can be for the whole entire 3 months, both physically, mentally, you know, I felt like month 3 was definitely, of course, the best month because it was the month that I felt better in myself. I felt like over the past 3 months, I definitely had a mental breakdown every single month. The first breakdown was trying to think of what happened at the birth. You're on, I feel like your life has just been, the fast forward button has been put on your life, and you're just wanting everything to slow down. You don't want so many things thrown at you at the same time because you just want to sit down and you just want to process everything, you know, you need that time to process things. Trying to just mentally process everything and stressing about what happened at the birth and what we had to go through, and obviously being put, you know, being readmitted into the hospital. It was a lot. So that was definitely the first breakdown, you know, just trying to process everything whilst healing and doing everything for the first time. The second one was due to obviously cluster feeding and, you know, having all of that built up stress over the month and then just letting it all out. That was definitely my method. And the third one, I'm not really sure what the third mental breakdown was, if I'm being honest. It was a time where one minute I would be laughing and smiling because I have this beautiful baby girl and I'm experiencing being a mum, something that I've wanted for so long, and then the next minute I was angry and I wanted to smash things and like everything was irritable and I just never really knew the reason why. But I think honestly that's just your hormones, and that's a normal thing in, you know, during postpartum life. Not that I think postpartum should just be kept within that first 3 months. Of course postpartum is a journey, you know, but I felt like that was a time when one minute I would be laughing and smiling, the next minute I'd be crying, and then every now and again I would be so angry I just wanted to smash things and scream and shout and slam things. Looking back, I'm so grateful that I addressed these feelings during the time that it was happening, because that way I knew that they were just temporary, you know, I knew that it was just because my hormones are all over the place. And then lastly, how was I physically in the third month? Just as a reality check, something that I definitely didn't know is that even when you pass the 3-month mark, it doesn't automatically mean that everything, you know, poof, it's all gone, everything's fixed, you're back to normal. Hell no, hell no, especially physically. I did my very first proper workout. So I've been doing daily walks, and that's what I counted as my exercise. That's what I still count exercise as to this day. It is my main source of, you know, exercise, walking. In month 3, I could then go to 45 to 60 minutes, which was a heck of a difference from month 2 of only 20 to 30 minutes. So of course I was doing my daily walk, and I thought to myself one day, why don't you do a little power walk, you know, just to see what my body can do, and I felt like that was a mistake. The next day, I woke up shivering. My skin felt sore and sensitive all over. I had a migraine all day, and I would continually get hot and cold. So that is just a very small snapshot into the first 3 months postpartum. It's still a journey. I still feel like there are days that I can't cope, both mentally and physically, but then there are also more days, of course, filled with absolute joy and loving every single minute of every single day, regardless of how, you know, Groundhog Day it feels. Every day definitely feels like the same sometimes. I really hope this video would bring you some sort of realness to the postpartum life. What I would definitely recommend is just to make sure you have, you know, a close-knit support group. Definitely when it comes to the midwives and health visitors and doctors, nothing is so small, you know. I would 100% recommend asking all of the questions, asking them to check everything, getting all the support that is possibly available to you. And, you know, I'm very grateful for the help that I have received during the first 3 months and even, you know, thereafter. And I am grateful for the support that my partner gave to me, and it definitely made things a lot easier. So, you know, that's the only thing that I would definitely recommend, is just to take everything that is offered to you. But I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please do give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, or if you want to see more of these type of videos. Do subscribe if you don't already. I would absolutely love for you to join the family, and I will see you in my next video.